Acts chapter 4, verse 32. All the believers were one in heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions was their own, but they shared everything they had. 1 week ago yesterday, our area was hit by some very severe storms. Power was knocked out for several hours, and in some areas, several days. Driving around last week, you could tell where the storm was the strongest by the damage the different areas had occurred. One of our members sent me an email recently, and in it, they alluded to an illustration that really resonated with me. And I hope they do not mind if I use this illustration. This couple really enjoys driving around and enjoying nature. Along their route, there is one tree in particular that stood out. This tree stood all by itself in the middle of a nicely mowed and manicured yard. It was a beautiful old tree. However, after the storm, the tree had broken off about 1/3 of the way up. During the storm, this tree was on its own, defending itself against the strongest of winds. It finally succumbed to the wind and broke off. It makes me think, who makes up our support system? Moses in Exodus chapter 17, verses 8 through 13, finds himself needing help from those around him. The Israelites were in a battle with the Amalekites. Moses was to stand at the top of the hill with the rod of God in his hand. As long as he held his arms up, the Israelites would prevail. But if he let his arms down, the Amalekites would prevail. It goes without saying that during the course of this battle, Moses' arms became very heavy, and he could not do this alone. He employed the help of Aaron and Hur. Moses would sit on a rock, and Aaron and Hur would be on each side holding his arms up so that the Israelites would be victorious in this battle. We find ourselves fighting battles every day within our spiritual lives. We need to make sure that we are not like the tree that is standing in the middle of the field taking on the storms of life by ourselves. As the tree found out, it did not matter how deep of a root system it had, the storm still managed to find the weakest point of this tree, and it broke off. The trees that fare the best in the storms are the ones that were in a group. They were able to shield each other from the wind and act as a brace so the wind would not blow them past their breaking point. The foundation of our support system is the Lord our Father. Our next level should be the church. The people in Acts chapter 4 were holding each other up. They made sure everyone had what they needed and no one was in need or want. It is not a sign of weakness to need help. In fact, at some point in our lives, there will come a time when we all need some kind of help. Now is the time to build the relationships and form a support group that will help us stand during the fiercest of battles.